Hello.
Hello.
How are you doing?
Okay.
It is a Sunday.
After a full week
Yeah.
of
Quarantining.
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 Yeah. We need more games.
Well, we have, yes.
We can play all the games.
Yes, we were playing a game today that we've been playing for a few days on the computer. And we hadn't played before, and we both got knocked out at the same time, and it ended the game.
Yeah.
So we will have to restart if we have the stamina for that.
It might not seem like it, but I hate losing.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Maybe if you've watched me do any Wizards Unite competitions, you know that I hate losing.
So we'll probably play that again. Pretty fun game called For the King through Steam.
We also have the tabletop one.
Yeah, Foe Hunters. We bought that a while back, hadn't played it. Went into quarantine. We're like, hey, let's play it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a co-op game. Pretty fun.
Yeah.
Other than that, I mean, we haven't had too much going on. Trying to keep up with work stuff as best we can, and trying to
responding to emails,
be in contact with people, and maintain some relationships and have some fun.
Yeah.
You had a good stream yesterday with a bunch of people.
A bunch of YouTubers.
A little fake.
We were having a quarantine day. Yeah.
It was supposed to be community day, but got canceled, obviously.
Well, postponed. So we're going to get it at some point. Yeah. But yeah, it was supposed to be yesterday.
Right.
So. Oh, hey. I guess I didn't realize the whole thing was gray.
Yeah, I'm in my gray jumpsuit again too, so it all
gray is the color. It is also gloomy, overcast.
I do love wearing gray. It is gloomy. There's some blue sky, but it's not particularly sunny. There's enough clouds to block it.
It rained a little bit earlier.
Yeah, it's supposed to rain the next couple days too, and the last few days. Crazy for Fresno. Anything else? You got something else going on?
Oh, we have trading cards.
We do, yeah.
Did we talk about how you got this for us? I don't think on the podcast.
No, and I don't think that episode is out, right?
No.
Yeah, it's a Chamber of Secret expansion pack for the Harry Potter trading card game. It is the last expansion pack, so this is it.
Yeah, and this one's the rarest one.
It is the rarest one, yeah.
Pretty expensive.
Pretty much kind of on par, but a little bit more expensive than the base set, which was the first one. But much more expensive than any of the kind of in-between ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's cool because we're reading Chamber of Secrets right now. And we opened a couple packs the other day. We recorded it, so if you watch WizardPhD on YouTube, that video will be on the channel eventually. And so we looked at some new cards, and that was cool.
Yeah. But it makes a nice little... This, I thought, actually looking at the video before we started was a glare, but it is actually a sword. You can guess what sword it is, yeah.
We will get there.
You want to get into it, though?
I'm ready.
Winston?
Are you ready, Winston?
He's looking in the garbage can.
Oh, mischief.
Juan's ready. Turn to page 161, The Rogue Bludger. Today's lesson is called It Will Be Painful.
Indeed.
Which is what Pomfrey says. So, synopsis. The chapter begins with Harry buttering up Lockhart so that Hermione can get him to sign out Most Potent Potions from the restricted section of the library. That proves easy to do, so the trio get the book and get to studying the potion in Myrtle's out-of-order bathroom. This potion will take at least a month, which makes them all anxious about the dangers in the interim. Meanwhile, Harry and the Gryffindor Quidditch team are set to play the Slytherin team. Immediately, something is noticeably wrong with one of the bludgers, which insists on attacking Harry instead of shooting about as it should. During a timeout, Harry insists that the twins leave him unguarded, so he can attempt to see the snitch. He succeeds, finds the snitch, and wins the game, but at the cost of the Rogue Bludger breaking his arm. Lockhart compounds, little pun, the problem by removing all the bones in Harry's arm. In the hospital wing, Harry takes Skelegro and eventually falls asleep. He is awakened by Dobby, who confesses that he blocked Harry on platform 9 3/4 and set the bludger on him. Dobby also accidentally mentions the Chamber of Secrets before disappearing as footsteps approach. Dumbledore arrives with a petrified Colin Creevey and confirms that this means the chamber is indeed open. He is cryptic yet sure about who opened the chamber as Harry overhears from his hospital bed. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, lots going on in this chapter again. I mean, another big chapter. The last one had like several scenes. This one also has several scenes because you got the bathroom, you got the Quidditch game, you got the potions classroom, or the dark arts classroom, and then the hospital wing. Yeah, 4.
Yeah. So what I was thinking about just at the beginning, like, I love the whole tricking Lockhart into signing the thing, and then Madam Pince being like, "Is this forged?" Like looking into the light and all that.
Because Hermione doesn't want to let it go.
Yeah, I was a little confused at that dialogue, and I was like, "What do you mean you don't want to let it go?" And then I was like, "Oh, she's talking about the signature." Oh yeah, I forgot about that part. But it just reminds me of, I mean, this is a children's book, right? So like it reminds me of like the constant dynamic we see between like the kids who are really brilliant in a lot of ways, and and they're trying to do some really crazy things, but also have these like little mini stumbling blocks because adults are annoying and like stuck in like, we have rules and we have all these things and like control, and kids don't know anything sort of. And so it reminds me of that, of like being a child reading these books and having that also dynamic. Although we are adults, and I feel like there are similar dynamics anyway that we experience with like, it's not, I don't know, just the frustrating boundaries that we put on things.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure my students have been frustrated with me at different times. 100% sure. Yeah. I don't know. I thought for me, the theme of the chapter was pain. I mean, there's kind of a lot of it, and it comes in a lot of different forms. Like, I think like some of it is the characters, and some of it was for me. Like, every interaction with Lockhart is painful for me because he's just he's so full of himself. He's so over the top. Like, the beginning is painful because just like, this is such nonsense. The library is kind of painful. I think obviously the bludger, the Skelegro.
Well, Harry's quote is, "Oh no, not you."
Right. Like, I love that. Like, he comes back from consciousness to a row of gleaming teeth, or whatever, however she writes it.
Like,
oh no.
and then you hear the and he's like, "I don't want the photo of this." Poor Harry.
Painful. It's all painful.
My gosh.
And then like the whole having to wait kind of reminded me of like our current situation with COVID, of being like, well, we're just at home. We're just going to have to wait it out, Any port in a storm type thing. And it's like, well, it's painful sometimes for them to have to wait for but to know like they don't really have a better plan, and they know that bad things are going to happen. And like Ron and Harry and Hermione's pain of like knowing that the urgency of it, but she can't think of anything better to do.
Yeah. So I think that I wrote somewhere that Hermione seems to be becoming like a leader in this book. I mean, she was quiet and in the background a lot at the beginning, but she's the one to take initiative, and she's like, yeah, we got to do this. Like, we've got to break in. We got to do, I mean, sure, if you want to just quit now, like, I love how she does that. And it's just kind of like, Ron's like, what?
You're the one telling us to break the rules.
But
you have to convince us.
As we'll see, and I think it's implied, like, this is very personal to her. And so this is kind of like, this is her journey, even though we're still kind of through the lens of Harry Potter.
Yeah, definitely. Hermione is just such a great character. Her whole arc is just going to be so great. And this is, I agree with you. I hadn't really thought of it that way, but totally a leadership thing for sure. Yeah, that's right, I feel like.
Yeah, so she makes them go into the girls' bathroom with moaning Myrtle.
She sets up the plan to get the signature in the first place, and like how Harry should act, and to butter up Lockhart.
Well, with Myrtle, what I was going to get into just briefly is like, I was like, oh, we haven't talked really at length about Myrtle, and it's not, we have other chances to talk more about her, but her full name is Myrtle Elizabeth Warren.
Is that a joke?
No, that's her real name. And so someone tweeted at J.K. Rowling in 2015 and was like, what's Moaning Myrtle's full name? And she replied, Moaning Myrtle's full name was Myrtle Elizabeth Warren. And then she clarified later on, like in the day, and was like, nothing to do with the United States Elizabeth Warren. Elizabeth is just one of those classic British middle names.
That's really funny.
Yeah, in an interview, she said something like, oh, I tried to like go with the time period because this was like in the 40s when she was alive and a student. So she chose Elizabeth. She said, I always knew her last name was Warren, and I just chose Elizabeth as like a really standard kind of British name.
Just an easy one. Yeah, that's
and it just made me laugh. I was like,
Warren.
oh
my
okay.
gosh, that's so funny.
Oh man.
Did you pick a quote?
I did. What was my quote? Oh, it was in the Dobby section. But before we talk about Dobby, I think that so we get a little bit of Draco, not as much as other chapters, but like you have the Quidditch game and whatever. But something that keeps coming up over and over, and I think it's really important, or for me, it's really important that this is an identifier for Draco's character is him having a rich father.
Yeah.
And so that keeps coming up, and I think that for me, it's genius because, so I know people always criticize me, like, okay, yeah, I know, not all Slytherin are bad or evil. However, Draco Malfoy is a terrible human in these stories right now, especially because you have this. And so having that characteristic, that thing that kind of defines his character or the positioning that he has of having a rich father for readers might elicit some sort of like experiences or like perceptions that really shape how he's seen.
Yeah, and I think the beauty of her setup with Lucius is it also provides the window for redemption in the eyes of the readers, I feel like. Because when we see Draco with his father and when now we see his father on his own or when in other situations, we kind of recognize like, okay.
It doesn't come from nowhere.
Yeah, like Draco is acting out.
Mm-hmm.
He is cruel in a lot of ways, but what is going to happen? What will he be like if this polyjuice potion thing actually gets pulled off and like we see him not
in private with
interacting with Harry Potter?
Friends,
yeah. So I think but we've already seen that, right? Because we saw Harry was hidden and
yes. Yeah, we did
and
get
Borg
a
and
glimpse.
Burke? I can't remember. Burks?
I think it's Burke, but then when he says Burke, I don't
Could
know.
Be There are two different stores. They're right next door. It's very complicated. Confusing. Yeah.
So like the Quidditch part of what I wrote down was like, okay, Harry, you need contacts. Why are you playing with glasses? Like this is unacceptable. Also, y'all are all wizards. I don't get it. Why are you wearing glasses?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Can regrow bones in a night, but can't fix astigmatism.
Yeah. Okay. So Harry has his whole thing, and then he goes to the hospital wing. Madame Pomfrey is pissed, and I'm like, dude, why are you pissed at Harry? Go fire Lockhart.
Yeah.
He's terrible.
That's right.
He's causing more harm.
Also, you have to wonder, like, why isn't she like on the field?
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. Where's your athletic trainers?
It's a great interaction, and like the situation is just so ridiculous because he just removed all his bones. 33 bones.
He's like, oh, that can happen.
Oh, yeah, oops.
Okay, yeah, so she says 33 bones to regrow, and me being annoying, I'm like...
You looked at it. There's more than that, right? The hand probably has a lot.
Okay, so...
Or is it just the arm?
Apparently, if you have... So the full arm is 33. Or did I get that right? Oh, sorry, 32. She says 33.
There's a wizarding bone we don't know about.
3 in the upper arm, 2 in the lower arm, and then your hand has 27 bones.
Yeah, little tiny ones and stuff.
However, I didn't do that careful of research, but I was reading this Reddit thread where people were debating about this, like actually asking like, where did she get, and I'm like, oh, there are other people like me out here asking these questions, these important questions. And apparently like children have more bones in their bodies, and they kind of like, I don't know, like mold together as you grow older. I don't know.
Interesting.
That's what was said. I don't know if it's
also
true.
Baby teeth fall out, which is weird. There you go. Yeah,
33 bones Harry has.
Yeah, he does. He mutated.
The chosen one.
Yeah. My favorite quote was "Get the snitch or die trying," which was Fred or George saying this to Wood. What a stupid thing to tell him.
What a stupid thing.
It was pretty great.
Because they were mad. They were like, because they're pretty good. They're pretty good at Quidditch. And like, they're a duo.
And they care about it, yeah.
And it's like, something is wrong.
Yeah, because there were those quotes where they're like, got it that time. It's like, oh, shoot. But while we're on Skelegro, this is where I did some research.
Ooh, nice.
I picked up some researching slack while you were doing other things. So a couple things that I found here. First, Skelegro has 3 known ingredients. This is from Lego Harry Potter, where apparently you have to brew it.
Yeah, Chris was playing this last night.
Oh, nice.
Wizard Way,
I didn't watch. Oops. The first is Chinese chomping cabbage, which is a magical plant that eats other foods, such as carrots.
Oh, yeah. Interesting.
Presumably from China, though, unconfirmed.
Okay.
The second is 3 puffer fish. Now, I'm not sure. It doesn't really say, like, at least on the site that I found, whether it's like the full fish or something like that. I don't know. But which is just a muggle fish. We know about the puffer fish. The eyes of which are used in the swelling solution, which makes more sense than
we've seen the swelling solution.
This, but there you go. And the third is 5 scarab beetles.
What?
Ground scarab beetles are a component in the wit sharpening potion. Yes. In Harry Potter Wizards Unite. Now, the deeper cut. So that's pretty cool potion making stuff. All right.
Okay.
You're going to like this.
All right.
So apparently it was originally invented by an ancestor of Harry Potter called Linfred of Stinchcombe. He is Harry Potter's earliest known ancestor.
What?
Farthest back. So here's some information on him. I was like, at first I was like, what should I look up? And I'm like, oh, Skelegro is kind of cool. Let me look it up.
Skelegro was the one thing I didn't look up. I was like, oh, it's fine. Like, because it's not in the game. And I was,
Well, you may yeah, good. So Linfred of Stinchcombe, and I might not be pronouncing that right, also known by the nickname the Potterer, was a 12th century wizard and pioneering potioneer, credited with inventing medicinal potions. He was the founding patriarch of the Potter family. He lived in this town and had Muggle neighbors who went to him for help, and they didn't know he was a wizard. And so there's this amicable relationship. The Muggles remained unaware that Linfred's remedies were magical, and thus continued thinking of him as just a strange, lovable man who enjoyed, quote, pottering about in his garden with all his funny plants. This led to him being given nickname the Potterer, which over the years was... It said corrupted, which I thought was a strange word, but changed into simply Potter. His neighbors didn't know he was a wizard, so he conducted experiments in peace, inventing a number of potions, including ones which later developed into Skelegro and Pepper Up Potion. He sold these potions to fellow witches and wizards, amassing great wealth in the process.
Is this where they become wealthy?
Possibly.
Wait.
Possibly. Linfred fathered 7 children. He left each of them a significant amount of gold upon his death. His eldest son, Hardwin, married Iolanthe Peveril, a name that will come back later. So I thought that was pretty cool.
You know, I was looking at the Potter family tree the other day because that's when I was like, oh, Harry, Ron, and Hermione are like brother and sisters-in-law.
Right.
Or brothers and sister-in-law.
What I appreciated even more was that this even gave like an etymological, there must be something specific to names. I don't know the word or field, but the idea of like somebody's name coming up and like he was a potterer, so they nicknamed him that, and then he took on the name Potter at some point, which is just kind of cool. I don't know. I like that. Last but not least, a small tidbit about Skelegro. On the 22nd of May 2014, during the final match of the first round of the 427th Quidditch World Cup between Wales and Germany, the quick administration of Skelegro saved German seeker Thorsten Pfeffer's life after he failed an attempt at the life-threatening Wronski feint, a move we will hear about in later book. Pfeffer collided with the ground at what onlookers estimated to be 60 miles per hour, broke most of his bones, and was left believing himself to be a budgie, a bird, I don't know how to pronounce the full name, budgerigar, called Klaus, which I thought was hilarious, but there you go. That was everything that I found about Skelligro.
Yeah, so for Quidditch specifically, there's a lot on Pottermore, now Wizarding World, from the year 2014, because that's when a lot of they published a lot of Daily Prophet stuff, because that's where you get the nasty Rita Skeeter trying to start up rumors about if Ginny and Harry are happy in marriage, because she's like a, talented Quidditch player and traveling all over and like leaving behind her husband and kids. And it's like, girl, Rita, calm down.
Does she still think that Harry is 2 years younger than he actually is?
Yeah, she probably thinks that he's still
now older. He probably says he's older than he is.
Or however old. Yeah, so my quote was more with Dobby. So we see Dobby. I don't know. It's been a while since I've read Chamber of Secrets. So, I kind of was like, oh, Dobby, you're back.
The Dobster.
Dobby. Yeah, so he kind of talks a little bit to Harry. Like, a little is revealed through dialogue about the status of house elves. Because he contrasts, his life now as being better compared to his life when Lord Voldemort was in power. And the quote I wrote down was, Harry Potter shone like a beacon of hope for those of us who thought the dark days would never end. And so it just gives another glimpse of so for Harry, yeah, he dealt with being the chosen one and being famous and people coming up to him and whatever, but now you have this wider scope that he possibly might have realized of you have house elves and you have this status and we're talking about enslaved creatures,
what it means to be a symbol also, right? Harry as the symbol, as this mythological symbol, right?
Yeah.
Which doesn't really necessarily have anything to do with him, right? In the sense that he was just a baby, but then he plays out this role in other people's lives and other beings' lives.
Right. Yeah. Right.
And they attribute a lot to him, right? If you really take Dobby's words to heart, it's kind of whoa, this is way too much. Why are you? Yeah, I understand the use of the symbol, but to put this on a child of 12.
I mean, he's still a child.
Pretty rough
the whole time.
Especially because he himself is constantly grappling, as you said, with fame and all this stuff, this book, which is tough.
Yeah.
But Dobby doesn't know that. And it doesn't change the fact that what Dobby is saying is true. It just is complicated by the fact that Harry is, one person and didn't have anything really to do with becoming this symbol of hope. Yeah. I like that scene a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we close out the chapter with this wild thing that's happening, and Harry's just in his bed. So I wrote down, this is wild. So there's this mythical, because that's what Ben's is I don't deal with myths, whatever. This mythical Chamber of Secrets that nobody can find. No professors, no nothing, because that's his thing. He's it's not real because no one can find it. But we hear straight from Dumbledore's mouth that it has been opened before, because he's it's been opened again. So we have this acknowledgement that the Chamber of Secrets is real. It's a thing. Well, we also have Dobby, who basically told us that as well. And what? That's basically, and at the end, the last sentence or something is about a McGonagall's face, and Harry's looking at it yeah, she has no idea what's going on. Same with me. It's kind of crazy. I don't know.
No, it totally is. Yeah. I mean, I think when we get to it, even though we're not a spoiler-free podcast, we like to leave things sometimes to when they happen. But I think Dumbledore is such a rich character to me, because he drops these things of knowledge, and why does he know that it exists? And why does he know who opened it, and only wonder how? And this is very interesting. It comes to fruition much, much later in the series, but this whole idea of Dumbledore accumulating knowledge of certain types for reasons, right? And it wouldn't surprise me that he just knows things about the castle too. I feel both as somebody who we will find out is incredibly curious about powerful magic, and also the headmaster.
Yeah.
So of course he would look into, it feels like, the sort of persistent or legendary dangers and see if they're real and like try to figure it out as much as he could. Not only like from a curiosity standpoint, but just from like it is kind of his job to some extent to understand the castle as best as he can. Yeah, it's a great cliffhanger ending because it's like, well, what the heck? Why does he know?
And it's Colin Creevy, our boy.
And we get a double confirmation like 2 pages away of the chamber being real, for sure. Because Dobby brings it up.
Yep.
Dumbledore says yes. And it's like, well, this totally erases any sense of like, oh, we're just going to find out that like it actually is fake and like somebody's just casting these spells, you know? No, like the voice, yeah. It's a lot.
Poor Harry. I know, exactly. Poor Harry.
He's just in the hospital wing. Boom.
He's just trying to learn how to...
paparazzi style.
He's just trying to learn how to be a wizard.
Yep.
He never asked for any of this.
Yep.
Here we go.
Gonna have to eat crab's toenails.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Oh, Ron.
Yeah.
He's like, you don't think it'll taste terrible eating some Slytherin? Classic Ron.
It is. Yeah, Ron is bringing the levity.
Yep.
Okay, yeah, cool. Did you have anything else?
No, that's all that I had.
All right. Well then.
Until next time.
Wand's ready.